Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wingcat Sports. It's the weekly Red Wing breakdown. A little bit later in the week for it, but usually typically about around when I have it. Uh, Good week for the Red Wings overall. You ended the month of January above 500. You went on your West Coast trip. You started, you know, very good in Canada. You won 3-2 in a shootout against the Oilers. Your offense did fairly okay against the Oilers. You ended up putting on 35 shots on net, but you also let up 47 in the overtime game. But overall, you played very well against the Oilers, a top team in the West. And then you continued your trip through Western Canada, won 3-1 against the Flames, and then had a kind of semi-poor offensive outing against Vancouver, but still managed to have another overtime win on this road trip.
You can't complain. I mean, 3 wins. I mean, you know, that's always hard to do, sweeping, that Western trip. And, playing back to back against Vancouver, you can give them a break. They won the game. Came out with 6 points out of 6. Uh, I'm really impressed. I'm trying not to get too excited, trying not to buy in too much yet. There's still a lot of hockey to go and a
Still
lot of teams fighting for that last spot. It's getting harder and harder not to believe in this team,
you
though.
know, it, it,
They're really making you want to buy into this. Um, what are they, 14-4-1 over the last?
they're 14-4-1 since
Jeez,
McCullum was
that
hired. But again, this Vancouver game obviously is a back-to-back right there in Calgary the night before. I played a 10 o'clock game in Calgary, 8
right.
o'clock game in Vancouver the next day. They only put up 18 shots in an overtime game. But again, they still won. They played well. And again, you can't complain with how they're playing. We expected only 4 points on this 4 game road trip, and you got 6, and you're playing the Kraken as of making this video tonight. We made this later on Tuesday. So a little bit later on, they're going to play the Kraken. If they beat the Kraken, they will be at 61 points um, going into the rest of the week, which leads to right now you're sitting at 59. We had 61. You have a 2 point lead in the wild card.
What are they on pace
And,
for? Does it say?
and I don't have anything they're on
Okay.
pace for. I
Okay.
mean, they're the best team in hockey since McCullough got hired. But right now, you are sitting 3 points back of Ottawa since they won yesterday. So 3 points back. If again you win tonight, you'll be a point back of Ottawa. Currently 5 points back of Toronto, and then if you really want to be optimistic about yourself, you are currently sitting 8 points back of Florida for first place in the Atlantic. Obviously, we're not thinking first place, but if you stay hot and you get lucky, first place could be around the corner by the time end of March happens.
Right.
Right now, obviously, first place is not the goal. My goal
Oh,
would
no.
be 5 points. You can make up 5 points pretty quickly. And my goal would be, if you're going to be the Red Wings, try to get that second place spot. Try to get at least one home series in for the playoffs.
I really don't think that matters that much, but yeah, I
No,
guess
it'd be
everybody
nice
wants.
to have one home series
It
in the
would be.
playoffs.
It would be.
And it's not again 5 points. It's not that far. You play Tampa later on this week, which is your only other game before the All Star break, a 1 o'clock game on Saturday. So you have a long break from this West Coast trip, which might not be helpful against a good Tampa team. But you are currently a point above Tampa. By the time probably Saturday comes around, either you'll be kicked out of your wild card spot or you'll be tied for it in some kind of fashion with Tampa. Um, and it'll come down to where you're sitting going into the All Star break, probably by that game, whether you're a point back in the playoffs or you're in the playoffs by that point. But again, you're not that far away from being second place in the division, which is it's in grasp. Five
Oh, it
points is
is.
3 games, and right now, Toronto has a game on you, so they could very well be at 66 points while you're at 61. Again, it could very well be a little bit further away, or it could still be as close. But even with Ottawa, right now it's the Battle of Ontario in the playoffs between Ottawa and Toronto. But you could also have a Detroit Toronto series or even a Detroit Ottawa series, depending on how everything goes in the first round of the
It's
playoffs.
That's the thing is that you have 15 teams out of 16 in the East, all with legit shots to make the playoffs, all with legit shots to it's just going to be a monster last 3 months of the season. Them battling every night, every game is
So
important.
if you want to
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
if you want to kind of throw a couple teams away, you probably could Montreal down could be your teams you're not really fully looking on, but Montreal, Pittsburgh, and Philly do still have a chance because they're not that far out. 6 points out is not that much. Um, when you look at it, and that's how far you could drop in the East with just going on a losing streak. As long as you don't go on a losing streak, you're going to be good because that's what killed you last year. You went into March, went through a West Coast trip, and you lost all those games
Yep,
against four teams,
exactly.
and you ruined your playoff
I
chances.
don't think McClellan will let them do that this year. Maybe, I hope not. That's just it just kills you. I mean, because you see that this team, we're as good as any of the bottom 10 teams in this conference for sure. And we should make the playoffs. Um,
But I said you're right there. You are right there
right.
to be in the not even be a wild card. You're right there to be in the division, which would be great if you could be in the division. And
Doesn't that person get kind of screwed? They have to play their second and third seed, have to play each other, and in both, in both divisions, and then the first and second place team get to play the sixth and seventh, or the seventh and eighth.
well, no, you so your division winners play the wild card, which could be good, could be bad, depending on
Right.
which wild card plays who. Because technically, the first wild card, right? When you a good example is you go out west, 64 points is the first wild card, right? So they're going to play the lower division winner, which is the Golden Knights, right now at 68 points, which is a far closer game than Edmonton and LA, where they're 8 points apart compared to 4 points apart. Um, but when you're in the division, most of the time you're pretty close with each other. Because again, like Carolina, New Jersey, 4 points apart. Toronto and Ottawa are 2 points apart. Again, Ottawa could very well, they're only 5 points out from winning the Atlantic
Right.
and being the number one seed in the Atlantic, which is what we thought last year. We thought Ottawa would be this up and coming team, along with Buffalo and Detroit, all be up and coming teams, and they would probably start fighting for the division. And basically, two of them are there, and Buffalo fell off. But we've talked about how Tampa and Boston are going to be tough to knock out of the division,
They are.
and they both have had. Well, Boston has had a rough year.
They have.
Tampa not so much. They're having about as even of a year as they usually have, and maybe just a little bit below what they usually do. But they're still playing well. And now, right, Toronto's still playing really good, and Florida, who just won the cup, also playing very well, sitting in first place, which is again unusual kind of for Florida because usually they're spotty. They're good one year, not good the next year. So 3 consistent years out of Florida is a change for them. But you're playing well. Toronto is going to falter here and there because that's just typically what they do. They're still good, but they don't always play the greatest, especially now they have more teams they have to worry about that are playing well. And I think Ottawa and Detroit could be facing each other in the first round of the playoffs, if not Detroit and Toronto
That would
or
be great.
Ottawa and
I
Toronto.
mean, I don't know if we could win a game against Toronto. Maybe.
You
Yeah,
could. Toronto sucks in the playoffs.
Yeah, that is true.
They suck in the playoffs.
I don't, like I said, you never know what happens. Get in and see what happens.
Yeah,
That's all you can do. Good goaltending can take you far. Our power play can take us far if it keeps
penalty kill
doing well. I did, like I said, I'm very impressed. I'm trying really hard not to fully buy in yet because I just don't want to get disappointed, I suppose. But it's very hard not to because these guys are playing the best hockey in the NHL, like you said, since the beginning of the year.
There's nothing else we can really do. We can just sit back, watch, and hope they play well. Like I said, they're going to have a
Do you think
nice.
they're going to buy at the trading deadline? Do you think
I think
going
they're going. Honestly,
Although I just heard disturbing news while eating dinner that might affect that. I guess Chris Illich is getting a divorce, and so his financial flow of money might not be as good.
Well,
He might be losing half his fortune,
well, listen, Dan Petrie right now is hurt
and now he
for.
don't want.
Dan Petrie is now out for 4 to 6 weeks, so you're gonna have him on the IR for a while. He's not gonna be back till April. So no Dan Petrie or Jeff Petrie.
Jeff Petrie,
Not
yeah,
Dan Petrie.
Dan
Jeff Petrie.
Petrie.
No Dan
Well, they
Petrie.
probably play about the same right now.
But Jeff Petrie, he's out till April. So you're going to have Johansson playing more. You're going to have Evanson playing more.
I don't think Johansson's going to give that up either. He's playing really well.
Hall's going to be playing more, and hopefully he can play well. And then obviously, like, Kane should be back tonight, if not probably after the All-Star break. Maybe they'll give him a longer rest. Comfort's supposed to be back after the All-Star break. And it's what do you want to do? Are you going to sell because you want the young guys to play and you like the young guys more? Or are you going to buy to send the young guys back down? Are you going to go trade somebody and then Soderblom's back in the minors? Because Casper's here to stay.
Well, I just right now I think what they need because of the injuries and things is if there's a defensive help they can get.
Defensive help is the only thing you're going to do. That's the only thing you got. Right. But then you got to put Hall in the deal, and Hall has that no trade clause, so probably not going to happen. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if we buy. We'll see if we don't. We still got a few weeks. It's not the NBA where it's happening this weekend and all the crazy stuff going on in the NBA. Not that we really watch the NBA, but crazy stuff going on. We'll see what happens. I think they're going to stand still. I don't think much is going to. People who are expecting.
People will be upset if they're in a race and they don't do anything.
I think people expect more than what is going to happen because, again, you're running with a team that's playing real well. Why would you want to mess up the chemistry? Why would you want to mess stuff up? Obviously, defensively, maybe goaltender-wise, I don't know. Someone besides Talbot because Linen's been iffy this year. And you don't trust Husso. We'll see what ends up happening.
Sign Miles Garrett. Oh, no, that's the wrong sport.
Wrong sport. But we'll see what ends up happening. Hopefully they win tonight. We're even closer in the playoff race. And then we can go into the All-Star break, even potentially flirting with division spots. With all that being said, though, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about what's going on with the Wings right now. If they should really do anything, how they're playing. And until next time, see everybody soon.